So we are with Tom George today, CEO of QB Impact in Oklahoma. Tom, it's great to see you again. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good, Ryan. Obviously, the last time we spoke about, the camp you were having in Arkansas, and as usual, I appreciate you having me on and having the opportunity to chat a little bit about the outcome Camp Impact in Dallas we had last month.
Yeah, so let's get right into that. So I know it's a really big event. I want to kind of, I guess, pat you on the back right away. So I think you did something that no other camp has done. Tell me, so you were maybe the only camp to be at AT&T Stadium for 3 days and packed it out, just like you've got people packing Madison Square Garden now. You did that with the camp at AT&T Stadium, right?
Yeah, I'm a pretty humble guy, but I'm proud and excited to say that, and I don't know the statistics, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But from my understanding, there's never been a 3-day camp at AT&T Stadium where the entirety of the camp. I mean, from the second we checked in to 3 days later, everything was at AT&T Stadium. I mean, we literally did classrooms in 3 different sections of the 200 level of the stadium where kids were overlooking the field, and we had whiteboards. And I was doing a parent seminar inside a ballroom of the stadium. And, it was great. 3 days in the stadium, I think the families and the kids got a lot from it. It was productive. We had 30 coaches from different levels of coaching, anywhere from college to the NFL, including a bunch of NFL greats that were there. And man, it was exciting. We had 194 kids, probably 300-ish parents. Ages of 6 up to college mentors. And of course, we broke them up into specific groups. But yeah, I'm proud of it, man. QB Impact's been around for 6 years, and to say that we were able to accomplish that, there's a lot of guys that do a field session, a 2-hour field session in AT&T, or 1 or 2 field sessions, and then they go somewhere else. But it's pretty cool to say, we had the opportunity to spend 3 days in the entirety of AT&T Stadium.
Well, you touched on a little bit with some of the things that you said, but for those that maybe weren't there, so what are some of how is it broken up? So 3 days, that's a lot. You mentioned you had parent conferences where you're talking to them, the kids, I guess, were going to the classroom. So what are some of the things that a QB Impact camp provides, especially a big one like that at AT&T Stadium?
They check in on day 1, they check in at lunch. So day 1 is lunch till about 7 p.m. Once they check in on day 1, we focus on introductions, and then we have a couple vendors that come in that are a part of the camp that I believe in. One is Tag Shoulder Pads, which provides a specific shoulder pad the NFL is starting to embrace, and another company called Arise, and they do some amazing things with ankle support in their iFast and XFast system, and some shoulder harnesses. And they're just 2 companies that we believe in the same things, and I think fit what we do. So we spend the first couple, hours doing that. Obviously, we have a lot of gear, and then, we get right into it. So we head to the field for about 2.5 hours. Our performance coach is an ex-strength coach from the University of Oklahoma, and he does all our performance sessions on the field. And then we go right into a 2-hour throwing session, which is a typical practice for me, where we spend some time doing individual. We get into routes, and we finish with some one-on-ones and some route concepts. And then day 2 is broken down into multiple field sessions, including some seminars for parents, which I do, and I believe that parents need to understand recruiting. Recruiting is an animal. Nobody really understands recruiting. Nobody can explain recruiting, because it's such a diverse beast depending on where you live. I think what's published, it doesn't matter which level you look at, the NFL, high school, or college, but almost 40 to 50% of all athletes come from 3 different states: Florida, Texas, and Oklahoma. And I've said this before, and I think that is published. And then, so those are, when you got kids from other states, those are things that they need to understand, and their parents, through recruiting. And while that's going on, we do 3 classroom sessions for our athletes. We break them up into 3 groups. we do a coverage session where we talk about coverages. And that session was taught by Quincy Carter, who was an NFL great, played at the University of Georgia. He's my guy, great guy, played for the Dallas Cowboys. And then we have a session that talks about fronts, the D-line, the linebackers, the O-line. And that's taught by Coach Dennis McKnight, who was the offensive line coach for XFL Houston when they were undefeated and spent a ton of time coaching in the NFL. Another absolute stud. And then we do a social media session. So those are the 3 classroom sessions. And then social media is taught by Corey and Brent Alexander, a team from Tennessee. Brent Alexander spent some time in the NFL also. So, you know, I'm blessed to say that in 90 minutes, man, these kids get a ton of information that they can take, and it'll help their mindset of the game and just not the physical portion of the game. So, and then of course on day 3, we get after it, we do some competition stuff, and then we do awards at the end. But, you know, at the end of the day, I want to make sure, number one, that the kids get their money's worth, right? I can't stand it when you go to a camp or a combine or even college camps, right? And you're standing in 4 lines and there's 30 kids in each line and you threw 5 footballs in a full day, right? You're going to get you're going to get hundreds of reps at Camp Impact. And that's why I hire so many coaches. Like, we had 90 plus QBs and each QB station only had 8 kids in it. So, you know, if you think about that, you know, we want to maximize repetition so they can get better. And that's the goal. But at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time talking about academics, their social life, how to treat people with respect. And I have the hard conversations. You know, we talk about ethnicity and racism in America and black and white and the understanding that we're all equal. And let's try to treat everybody the right way and stop listening to the noise. And like, I think it's simple. Like, if you treat everybody right, there's no noise. But for some reason, that's such a difficult thing to deal with. So I get passionate about things like that, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute. You are a fiery, passionate guy, and you bring a lot of emotion to what you do. You did just mention something a minute ago that I wanted to get into, and that's competition factor. So I know you had kids from all over. If you will, how many different states did you pull from? Who were some of the top performers at the camp?
Man, you know, I don't want to give you the wrong quote, but it was like 18 to 24 states. And we had a young man from Canada and a young man from Brazil. You know, a couple of standouts. I mean, you know, it's hard to pick standouts at camps like this, but what the staff tries to do is every day we meet and we talk about kids at every age group, and we talk about kids and how they act. Did they shake your hand? Did they speak to you clearly? Were they leading on the field, or were they kids that were selfish, right? And you know, for quarterbacks, we had a couple guys stand out, specifically JJ Brabazon, you know, from Maryland, who plays at DeMatha High School, which is a national powerhouse, right? He's a 2023 kid, and I think we've talked about the 2023 class before. And Unique, another kid, another gunslinger from the 2023 class was Easton Yoshino out of Kaiser High School in Honolulu, Hawaii. You know, so those were 2 2023 kids, one from DeMatha and one from Hawaii, that were absolute studs. And then I had a young 7th grader from Oklahoma named Dawson, who was very productive and accurate and big time all weekend. You know, those guys were pretty productive. I mean, we had a wide receiver from Hawaii named Kamakana Mahiko, and he blew people away to the point where, you know, we had some college guys actually looking to giving him some offers after camp because he was so productive at camp. So it was very productive. And you know, I'll be honest with you, the state of Hawaii, I get like 14 kids come from Hawaii. Last year we had 12, this year we had 14. And I'll be honest with you, those guys show up and they're ready to work. I mean, they came a long way. So those guys come to work, and they definitely showed out. So tons of talent. And I'm, again, like we've discussed, the class of 2023 was on fire. We probably had 24 kids from the class of 2023, and they probably took most of the awards.
to the point about Hawaii, I agree with you 100%. Used to cover Hawaii a little bit more intently than I do now, but it's a state loaded with talent. So I'm right there with you. How
Yeah, yeah.
So let's get into this. At the end of your camp, you gave a rousing speech, and it's gotten a lot of attention. So let's kind of break that down. So
Yeah.
one, some people maybe have like an idea what they want to talk about, and then some people are just kind of inspired in the moment when they give this close or wrap of a ceremony speech. For you, what got you into this emotional state that got such a great response from so many different people?
I get a lot of people. A lot of people have asked me if I script, if I plan, do I write things, and I'll be honest with you, I don't. To be honest, I kind of feel out the camp, and in 3 days, there's a lot of character talk going on. And you're right. There's been a lot of noise with my closing arguments closing arguments, closing remarks in this camp, and it's probably the first time it came from a probably a deep internal emotional place, and I feel like young people are what's going to make this country better. I think adults are kind of at a place where they already have stuff in their mind that they're set on, where young people are willing to be sponges and open-minded, and I just get passionate about them hearing what's right. And man, I probably went for about 8 to 9 minutes, and I got to the point where, and I really don't do this, but I got to the point where when I closed and got done, I kind of sat down, and I kind of wanted to leave the room because I was so emotional, and I didn't want to get emotional in front of the parents and kids because we were closing the camp. But honestly, I struggled with it to the point where I sat down, and I had one dad, his name was Keith Conaway. He saw it and walked up to me and gave me a hug and kind of slowed the crowd down, because everybody wants to, get a picture or say bye and when camp's over. So no, I don't prepare, man. I try to speak from the heart with emotion and talk about real life. And at the end of the day, if there's 194 kids there and 300 parents, and, a couple kids can grow and impact, I mean, then we're winning, right? I mean, I think that's how it starts. You're not going to get 192 to respond, but if you get a couple to respond, to me, that'll reciprocate. And that's kind of, I'm passionate about speaking, and I just don't know how to get there, but I'm passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Right. So sticking with that, so correct me if I'm wrong, but so I know you, I've known you for a while. Not everybody may know you, but I know, so you had about a 25-year, or did have a 25-year naval career. Then you started getting into coaching, and then you parlayed that into QB Impact and training, working with kids, and then working with kids on a national level. So
Yes,
you have that leadership background from the jump in the Navy, and then as a coach, and then have to inspire and move people, have a goal. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing, and bring them along. And then you give this speech at the end of this camp. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. But you're moving people. You have that background of being able to give that speech and get people to go do that. Is that something that you thought about doing outside of QB Impact? If it's kids or adults, if it's on this topic, that topic, but like an inspirational speaker, is that something that may be in the future for you?
yeah. Yeah. I think, and I'd love to do that. I struggle with self promotion and marketing, which I think you have to do if you get into that business. So although I'm passionate about it, what I will never do, if you hire me to speak to your company for an hour, what I will never do is script it, right? So obviously there'll be topics I can speak about, but I will never script it. It will always be how I feel at the moment, or as the event builds up. So I don't know. I mean, I'm passionate about it, and I think it would impact, and I could be a benefit. But at the end of the day, like I said, self promotion is very hard for me. So I wouldn't even know how to get into that market unless people reached out through what they've heard from me already. But you never know. I mean, time will tell, right? Yeah, here's the thing, like we talked about before, I don't settle very much, and I look for bigger challenges pretty frequently. So you never know.
Right. So us being connected, not only through camps and helping kids, but also on social media. I know that, and you mentioned it already a couple of times, the right and wrong and getting that message and having a sense of trying to help the future. Is there anything for you that may be down the line where you have a bigger impact, no pun intended, but a bigger impact on the community or on the nation in a way? I mean, you already have as a, with your naval career. But is there anything else down the line that may be coming for you?
I'm gonna guess, meaning in the political arena. We can segue into that. So,
Maybe,
uh,
yeah,
you
I don't
know,
know.
I've always believed in a quote, right? And I don't want to quote it wrong because I have it saved, but it kind of talks about um, um, those that think they can change the world. Those that are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that change the world, right? I might not have quoted it perfect, but I do believe people can change the world. I do believe we can change philosophies in this country, and I do believe we can change political agendas and the understanding of a Democrat versus a Republican, and why we can't meet in the middle and get along, and the term politician, right? Yeah, I'm intrigued about it. I want a bigger challenge and a bigger platform. Um, is that politics for me? Maybe. I don't know. It's something I'm recently intrigued about, and I've kind of been doing my research on. And I need to do more research, but I would guess that I would like to look into that arena soon, before I get too old. And I just think I just think we got to figure it out, and I think I think there's an opportunity out there to do that and make this place better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, anytime somebody can make the place better, make the country better, again, you have that background. You've given your service, your time to the country, and you continue to try to lead by example and work with youth, work with generations, help themselves, and better their own lives. And that certainly kind of sounds like the backbone of what it means to be in a political office and be a political servant, is that you're trying to help others. So, and you got the speaking part down, right? We already covered that. So anyway, so Tom, it was great talking to you today. Whatever may come, if it's you get into coaching, you take QB impact globally, or you get into politics, I know you're going to be successful at whatever you do. It's always great talking to you. Congratulations on yet another great successful camp down in Dallas, and wish you nothing but success going forward.
Man, Ryan, I appreciate that. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. I also wish you the best of luck. I know you got a lot going on, and you got a fan in Oklahoma. So if you ever need anything from me, please let me know, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thank you for your time as always.
All right, thanks, Bill.